Good afternoon. I'm going to post this prior to the 7 p.m. first pitch. I've been slacking a bit with the videos during the week. I'm just working and going to school at the same time, so I'm back to my regular mojo. I love it, but I'm just trying to squeeze in time for videos and shit that I do. Today's definitely on my Mets speculation for this year. Now, I know probably every year you'll hear me say I think they're going to win it big, but you always got to have hope. The reason why this year is going to really change the ballpark, change the game, change all that kind of shit is because, one, we have Buck Showalter as a manager. If you don't know who Buck Showalter is, he has played in New York before, and he was on those Yankee teams when they three-peated back in the 90s. Buck Showalter has also played on teams with small budgets, with very limited players, and made very good players. He's a very good manager. All right, I thought the Mets signing him was a very good move. Plus, he has plenty of it. The guy's got like over 20 fucking years of experience, so I'm not really worried. Our owner, he went out, he spent money. We got a good pitching staff. Like, I could go through the whole team right now, but I feel like it's just going to absorb too much time. So, based on what I've seen, we have no Jacob deGrom until probably early June. Jacob deGrom, if you don't know, is our main ace, our starter. He's probably the best. It's not even a probably. He's definitely the best starting pitcher in baseball. It's the guy he's just having shoulder, elbow problems. But when he's 100% and he's healthy, he's the most untouchable pitcher in baseball, bro. Nobody's hitting that motherfucker. For a starter to throw up a 1.80 ERA, like, that's unheard of. So if you don't know what ERA is, it's earned run average. So every time he goes out there, he's allowing less than 2 runs. A starter, yeah. So the Mets have James McCann and Thomas Nido at the catching position. I feel like that's our weakest point besides the bullpen. I was a little excited for James McCann last year, but he's a little lackadaisical in my opinion. I felt like I didn't see enough bat skills from him, and the glove wasn't really making up for it much. We're paying him $10 million, so it's a bit lackadaisical. I definitely want to see some improvement. Nito's a very solid catcher behind the plate, very reliable. He calls a good game, but a lot of the starters say they prefer Nito over McCann. But let's see what happens. This is the team. This is the Mets team that's reinvigorated and different. We're not gonna be a $100 million team that's being cheap no more. So hopefully at the deadline, if we do need a catcher, it can be addressed. So for infield, we have Alonso at first, hands down. Pete Alonso at first. I'm definitely seeing McNeil at second, Lindor at short, and most likely Escobar at third. Main reason why I'm gonna run Escobar out there, one, he's a switch hitter, and he's got a lot of juice in that bat, a lot of pop. He can definitely be a middle of the order kind of dude, and have a higher on base people. Definitely run it a bit more high. For the outfield, we have Mark Canha, Dominic Smith, Starling Marte, and Brandon Nimmo. So that rounds out when it comes to our hitting department and what we got for hitters and shit like that. Now, based on numbers and all the stats I did, obviously my script is ineligible, but we have a couple of interesting chinks on this team that would definitely make them a winner. I think for starters, Brandon Nimmo needs to hit leadoff, and call me crazy, but hear me out. Francisco Lindor last year only hit .230 with a .310 on base percentage. So he's only getting on base 31% of the time with a .734 OPS on base plus slugging. Now that's low, but we all know that Francisco Lindor is a top 5 shortstop in the game, and he's had a red hot spring training. One guy who had a red hot spring training and definitely has a bat that it impressed me. I was saying, maybe we should move on, but I noticed how much control we have on his contract, and, he's a good bat, and I feel like it can be developed, but I just don't see him playing anywhere else but first base. So now that the DH rule is in place, so if you don't know, NL and AL have the DH rule, so there's a designated hitter regardless. The pitchers don't hit no more. So I think the best ideal lineup, righty or lefty, would be Nimmo to lead off, and he would play right field. Put Starling Marte in center field, have him hit second. Marte last season hit .310 with a .383 on base percentage. Nimmo hit .292 with a .437 on base percentage. these are very, very high numbers. These are elite numbers. So Nimmo is literally a leadoff man getting on close to 44% of the time. And then Marte is getting on close to 39% of the time, but he hits for a better average. His OPS is only about 3 points, higher than his, but the two hit the ball or the two get on base. Like, the two are just on base magnets. You want that at the top of your lineup. I think getting Marte was a big steal this offseason. Francisco Lindor, I'm going to run him third. The reason why I'm going to run him third is because I know he's a scrappy dude, and I know he's not this low, like, I know he can be better than that, and he's definitely more. I want to run him third because he has a good amount of power, and he can hit in the middle of the order. I want him to be a table setter. That switch hitting spot in the 3-hole makes us way more deadly, per se, because he hits good from both sides of the plate. I feel like he just had he reminds me a lot of Carlos Beltran from my Mets fans, because Beltran first came and he had a bit of a down first year after his coming from Kansas City or Houston. I'm not 100% which team he came from, but he had a little bit of a down year. People weren't that hype about him. Then he just blew the fuck up. 141 home runs, 316, 116 RBI. The guy just shitted. So I'm not looking at home runs here. I'm not looking at RBI. I'm looking at your average, your on base. I want to see these kind of things. I know these players well. I want Pete Alonso cleaning up. That's my cleanup man. He hit 262 last season, but the guy is an easy 40 home run candidate, maybe even 50. Like, there ain't much else to say. He'll be playing first base. Lindor is short. Now, here's where I've reached a tough point in my selections, because there's one guy on this team that can hit in the 2-hole or in the 3. Like we have dudes that can hit here, man. Just had a down season last year, and I feel like Jeff McNeil is that guy that I'm going to put in my 5-hole right now, but he's eventually going to be hitting in the 2-hole. Jeff McNeil hit like 324 like a season ago. Like last season, honestly, was just disappointment. In my opinion, I feel like it was bad coaching. These dudes are blowing out a fucking hammy every time they ran a goddamn base hit. They need to drink fucking water. So it's just like, I would run McNeil at second, and I would run him fifth. He's a high contact kind of dude, but he hits good with runners in scoring position. So I know it's not a lot of power, but out of the 5-hole, I could see him being there because he can drive runners in. Alonso and Lindor are good enough pop in that 3 and 4 hole that McNeil can back up Alonso. Or if you want to get spicy, I say you put Eduardo Escobar in the 5-hole. My personal choice, I would put McNeil because I know he can be ready. I know he doesn't have a lot of like 30 home run stuff, but you get a runner on second base, he'll poke that shit in the gap and get your runner in. I'm not worried about it. 6th, I'm running Eduardo Escobar. I want that pop behind it. I'm going to run Canna behind him. Dom Smith in the 8-hole. Dom Smith had a very good spring, though, and so did Robinson Cano. So my DHO would be in the 7 or 8 hole. But based on how these guys are hitting, they're only going to move up, especially with Cano, considering we're still paying him about $16 million. But the guy can still swing the bat, so I'm not going to really ask him too much to play second base for me unless it's needed. But if he can hit like above 280, I'm not going to lie. He's always had a good rep for hitting, especially when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. And then closing out would be, I would definitely run Nito out there over McCann. Even though we're paying McCann $10 million, I still see Nito as more reliable. McCann's just, his on-base percentage is just abysmal, 29. And, I just don't see it. I honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of him. Moving on to pitching, considering DeGrom is out, or definite, rotation is looking like Scherzer, Bassett, Walker, Carrasco, and then McGill. It doesn't look like we're going to call David Peterson up. That's our best pitching prospect, but I think that's for the better. McGill is 6'7". He's huge. This dude is like fucking like a tower. And he had his like pitching, like the way he pitches, they're like drawing so many similarities to how it's like DeGrom. Now, considering he's taller, he hits that more lengthier extension. So the ball is just going to come faster. It's going to have more snap. Now, he's starting today, if you don't know. Scherzer is not our opening day starter. It's McGill. So if you're going to watch tonight's game, I recommend you watch him because he finished the second half of the season with like a 2.5-something ERA, and that's really good for a guy who had just came up. All right? And I'm talking like, even if he's just playing shit teams or whatever, he's throwing a 2.5. I'm not caring about the wins, losses, because the Mets offense was terrible last year. Stints where we can't hit shit, can't get on base. We got a lot of dudes this season that can get on base. So that'll hopefully fix our issue. I think our one major issue is our bullpen. We got Adam Ottavino, Seth Lugo, Trevor May. These are guys who do stand out to me. But besides that, I'm not really bought on anybody else. We need to make some moves at the deadline. I still feel like Edwin Diaz is a better setup man than anything here in New York. I think the closing spot is too much for him. I want to be proven wrong because I was excited about him when he first came. But that season where we had like the miracle run and shit like that, he was blowing games left and right, fucking us over. Last year you saw. Listen, it's not about ERA. I know about closers who are heart attack closers that with high ERAs, but they get the job done. They have like 2 games in their ERA. No. Diaz consistently fucks up. I need like you to go out there and just get me 3 outs. Throwing a fastball, high heat at people. That's not going to get people out, dude. I want that electric slider. I want, what we're paying for. Okay? Now, I'm going to do this at the trade deadline around like halfway through with the All-Star break. I'm going to do another one of these. I'll probably do a weekly, catch up on what the fuck is going on, considering the Mets are probably going to I hope not. I want them to be good. So, two definite needs that I see for this team. One team is contending that they could trade with. One team isn't. So, for both players, they would be a bit of a package. They're going to have to give up something. But the first person I think would be a great idea for them will be Wilson Contreras on the Cubs. Now, while he does lack maybe the defensive immaculacy and all of that, the motherfucker can hit. All right? He's above average at behind the plate, but the motherfucker can hit. And he calls a good game, and he's been on a World Series team before. Behind David Ross when they were coming up in that 2016 shit. And he's been in the playoffs before. He's worked with good pitching. And I believe if I'm correct, he's only got 2 years left on his control for the team, like contract control. So if the Mets were to capitalize and get him from the Cubs, that would be a good addition to this lineup. Yeah, besides the bad shit like that, I just feel like anybody's a major upgrade over, I feel like Nito should stay as our backup catcher. But, like, McCann, you could bundle him up in there. We could definitely find a deal. Because with 1 or 2 years left of control, you could definitely strike a deal. They already gutted their team last season. I would hate to see him go to another team when we can really use him. And then the second guy would be from the Milwaukee Brewers. This will be a little bit more of a haul to get him, considering these guys are also competing. But I could see the Mets making it happen, and that would be Josh Hader, their closer. Now, the reason why I say, 1, the Mets need a fucking lefty out that goddamn bullpen, and 2, Josh Hader is one of the more proven, renowned closers in all of baseball. You bring him in, you put Diaz as your 8th inning guy, Ottavino or Lugo as your 7th, your bullpen is deep late. All right? Now, these are both, dream guys I would love to have. If I could have one or the other, I would want Hader more. That bullpen has been an issue for a while now. And, these are 2 big moves we can make. There's a bunch of smaller moves I could come up with, but one of these 2 big moves, getting Contreras or getting Hader, would be the most pivotal thing. Hader especially, because that lane's too late for Diaz, and he wouldn't have to. I feel like he's not a bad pitcher. I don't want to go against nobody and bring nobody down. I just feel like maybe he's a better 8th inning guy where the stress is less on him, and then you throw. And then if we have Hader for that 9th inning, it's over. I'm not even scared about it. He throws high heat. He throws an electric slider. Mets are gonna have to give up a haul, but you want to make a World Series team, you got to do these kind of things. And I feel like with Hader, unless he gets an extension, he's another one that also has a couple of years on team control or 1 or 2 years left. So it'd be the perfect time to go get him. And besides that, rotation-wise, with DeGrom, with a healthy rotation, we have DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, McGill, and Walker going out there. That is a very, very good starting 5 rotation. That's a top 5 rotation in baseball. So, while obviously you get another arm, there's no need for it. We need a bullpen arm and 2 bullpen arms at the very least, and we need a catcher. That, in my opinion, that's what we really, really need. Besides that, I project this team to win about 95 games in its current state. I'd say the 92, 95 range in its current state. A lot of players can definitely change my mind on whether they're going to win a division based on how they play. But the 2 stars on this team that need to come through this season are Francisco Lindor, and I need Jacob deGrom to come back and have a strong comeback because we need him. Because I'm not going to lie. The guy goes out there, it's almost a guaranteed fucking 7 innings, lights out. Like, you get those two guys to bump up, DeGrom come back and play the way he does, and Lindor have a good bounce back here, we're looking at 95 to 97 wins. All right, but I'm going to put my projection around 95. That's my projection for them. Because the team is deep. You need some bullpen help. You need some catcher help. But it's a top 5 team in my opinion. This team has a very good chance, especially with Buck Showalter handling the lineups and all that kind of stuff. And I hope today McGill goes out there, even with the rain, and he throws an absolute fucking dinger. Show these motherfuckers that New York Mets are not want to play with. My people. My original speculation, of course, I'm thinking the Mets are probably going to go about 95 and 69 total throughout the whole season. We definitely need some small work in our bullpen and shit like that, but the team is very strong. I'm impressed with the decisions we made. I give them an A on an off-season grade in getting guys and bringing guys in and shit like that. And we just need the season to start. And I'll do another one of these, chalk up full videos, go through the lineup and stuff like that, what we got at the All-Star break around the trade deadline, when people are making rumors on what they're going to do. But I already told you, Contreras and Hader, those are the two dudes, if I was GM, I would want. And I know they might have a price tag, so just if I had to pick one or the other, I'd want Hader. So, you know what? New York Mets Genie.